All right, everyone, if you'll please turn to Skyboat's song in your folders. And if you'll join me on the board, I have a few questions about what we have up here. So the time signature for this piece is in 6/8. What do we know about the top number and a time signature? Anyone?
It's generally how many beats there are.
Right, so like in 4/4, the top number we have 4, so there's 4 beats in the measure. Right. Now in 4/4, the bottom number means that we have a quarter note as the main beat. In 6/8, we have an eighth note. Whenever there's an 8 on the bottom, that means that the eighth note will get the beat. So normally, I know every now and then we'll see like 2 eighth notes being together, or we might have seen one with just a flag, but in 6/8, they're grouped typically in 3, and so this is how that'll look in 6/8. So if everyone will just slowly clap this top line, so in groups of 3 it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Good. Okay. So the other note value that we'll need for this piece is a 16th note. And a 16th note is going to be half of the value of an eighth note. So there'll be 2 16ths for an eighth. So if you kind of see how this is lined up, so we were just doing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but this will now be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6.
So Mr. Mitchell, it's like the 16th notes are now like the 8th notes
Exactly.
from 4/4.
Right, so we're used to counting the quarter note, and the eighth note is 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but this will be a smaller note value, but we'll be counting it with 6 beats, with the ands in between. All right, so with that, if we can do one measure, we'll do 6 eighth notes, and then we'll go to the next line, and we'll count 1 and 2 and 3, and so on. Okay? So if you'll join me, ready, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6. Good. Okay, so one more rhythm that we're going to look at is this bottom one right here. And so what do we know? We've seen a dot before for sure, but it's usually been on a quarter, and it's normally been, like I said earlier, a different theming. And so if we have a dotted eighth, that's going to add one of our 16ths. So if we're going to break this down, if we have 4 16th notes, what we have above is the equivalent of this. So we have 3 of our 16ths in this dotted one, and then just 1 16th. So if we have, if everyone can clap a 16th note, so we have 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6, 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Sorry. If you will clap the constant 16th, and I will demonstrate just these first 3 notes. Okay? And 2, 3, 4, 6, 1, 3, 4, 6. Okay? So now I'm going to switch, and if you can clap and count this measure. So we have beat 1, and so what does that mean this next note is going to be? If we have 1, we have included in that 1 and 2, what does that mean that this is going to be?
The and of 2.
Exactly, so this will be on the and then this will be
3.
3, and so then the next beat we have a quarter note, and we know how many eighth notes are in a quarter?
2.
2. Okay, so this is going to start on what beat?
4.
Alright, and it's a terrible looking 4. And so because we have 2 eighth notes included, this will include beats 4 and 5, which leaves us on what beat?
6.
6. And we have one more note, and because it's the 16th, what is this last one? And. Right.
So do we say the 5?
So we'll not say the 5, so I'm going to erase all of the ones that we don't say. This is going wrong. Alright. Still not much better, but alright. So if we can all just slowly count this together. So let's just do the 8th. And so when we do this 8th, to feel it, if you can tap your toe or kind of clap like this. So every time we clap, that's one of the major beats. So this will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But if you want to get the 16th note, so every time your foot comes up or your hands come apart, that's the and. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 and. Alright, so if we keep that in mind for this, let's try this at a slow tempo. So let's clap the 8 together. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready, go. 1 and 3, 4, 6 and 1 and 3, 4, 6 and 1 and 3, 4. One more time. 1 and 3, 4, 6 and. Good. All right. Now if you look at Skyboat's song. What do we notice about this first measure of the piece? Well, let's just look at the rhythm. Does
That's
it
the
look
same.
familiar?
That's the one. We
Wonderful.
just did that.
Yes. So you already know this first measure. And basically what this figure is right here is going to repeat a fair amount in the piece. What's different about this next measure? Part of it looks the same, part of it looks different, but which parts do we think kind of copy and paste for the next measure or two?
The first 3 beats.
Yes, right. So we have a dotted 8/16 with another 8th note for the first 3 beats of the first 3 measures. So we already know that. We already know how to count the first measure. The second measure, we have it easy, and we just are sustaining the word wing for an entire dotted quarter, which is a full beat of 3 8th notes. And then, can someone tell me the counts for that third measure? So we have 1 and 3, and then we have what?
4, 6.
Right. So if you want to write that in, if that's helpful for you, you can go ahead and write in the counts for those first 3 measures. Everyone got a count still there? Good deal. Okay, so can we just slowly count these first 4 measures? So we're starting in measure 3, and we're going to end with the measure 6 on cry. So I'm going to if we'll all clap the 8th note, and if we'll all just speak all the counts that we have written down. So here we go. If you'll clap with me, ready, and 1, 2, 3, ready, and 1, and 3, 4, 6, and 9, and 3, 4, 1, and 3, 4, 6, 1. Off. Good. Anyone have any issues with that? Are we good to move on? All right. So, this next system, we have an identical rhythm to what we just had in measure 4 and 5, with the sustained on beat 4, and then 6, and the same thing in measure 8 that we had in measure 4. So you've already basically covered all the rhythm for these first 2 pages. So with that in mind, can we try to add the text just on this first page? So if we'll get our constant 8th note again, here we go. Ready, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, go. Sleep on me, go, like a bird on the wing, onward the sailors fly, carry the lad that's born to be king, over the sea to sky. Good. Okay, if you will turn the page, this top system, we have really our first just straight 8th notes. So we already know how to do that because we just clapped it. So that's the steady beat. If you will look with me at measure 17, it says, follow, they will not dare. This is a little bit differently notated. And so what might the first 2 beats be? That's pretty comfortable for us. So we have 1, 2, and then what do we have on beat 3 of that measure?
Rest.
A rest.
Looks like an 8th rest.
Well, this one is actually a 16th rest because it has 2 flags. So we know 8th notes will always have 1 flag. But a rest, or a note that has 2 flags or 2 little attachments, is going to be a 16th. So that's half of an 8th. So if you want to mark in your score that we've almost seen this rhythm before and placed differently as a dotted 8th. So on low, on B2, treat that kind of as a dotted 8th. But we're going to break on beat 3. So what count is they going to come on? If you have a rest on beat 3. On the end of 3. Right. So if we very slowly just say our counts for 17, if you'll fill those in. So if you'll just say the counts on measure 17 with me. So here's our 8th. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready, count. 1, 2, and 4, 6. Right, let's try that again. So we have 1, 2, and 1, 6. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, ready, go. 1, 2, and 4, 6. 1, 2, and 4. Keep repeating that one. 1, 2, and 4, 6. 1, 2, and 4, 6. Good.
That's dumb, Mr. Mitchell. Why did you do that?
Are we getting confused where the rest is, or?
I just don't know why they would do that. That doesn't, all the other ones are straight through. Why would they do that?
Exactly. Well, That gets into text stress, which we'll get into later. Okay, can we start at measure 11 and can we speak the words on the rhythm? So all that we have so far has been rhythms we've already had until we get to measure 17, which we just covered. So let's start at 11 and slowly speak this on the words. Here we go. Measure 11. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready, speak.
While the winds howl, while the waves roar, thunder claps rend the air. Baffled our foes stand by the shore. Follow, they will not dare.
Good. Any questions on that? It sounded good and I think everyone got it. All right, can we put this back with the very beginning, just speaking the rhythm one more time before we put pitch to this?
Yes.
All right, let's go back to measure 3 and let's speak the words in rhythm. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, ready, and speak. Spread on the floor like a bird on the wing. Onward the sailors ride. Carry the lad that's born to be king over the sea to sky. While the winds howl, while the waves roar, thunder claps rend the air. Baffled our foes stand by the shore. Follow, they will not dare. Good. I think that's it.
All right, y'all. Now, Jesse, so we don't short you and try to like flip you into 10 minutes of just,